Hello, Moff again. First of all, sun's coming out. When the sun comes out, it means there's a greater density of photons, which means the higher the definition. So you can enjoy a luxurious optical display of me opening my mouth and rattling my guts in your direction. Anyway, I was going to introduce my new haircut, which is called When Did You Last See Your Driving Instructor? And it was in the sale at the hairdresser's yesterday. Went down with my wife because she said I needed a new haircut. We'd had to throw the other one away because it had just perished. So they were clearing the shelves ready for the new summer haircuts. And summer actually was a topic which Meese and I got onto on the bench outside when we decided to have our cider, which was about the summer holiday we had. We went to the Isle of Man. Now, another strange coincidence is, driving instructors nearly all originate from the Isle of Man anyway, but the reason we went was because of my agoraphobia. I've been suffering agoraphobia recently. It's been getting gradually worse. So we went along to the doctors. But of course, you can imagine that itself is problematic, as the doctor has his surgery in an entirely separate building to this one. So we'd have to leave this building, walk up the street, under cover of daylight, the lead sky peeled, pale and milky, but still the ultraviolet would come down, and I would feel the eyes of the dead souls, the living souls, the trees, the crisp packets, everybody, insects and rodents peering up from the gratings. So we thought, there must be a way around this. Meese had the idea of remedying it with cardboard box, which we decorate on the inside, like the inside of our house, which we did. It was perfect. Looked just like we couldn't find a telly small enough, but everything else was perfect, down to the reptile prints in the coffee powder, which we'd fixed in place with Harmony hairspray, because we'd often used to invite people around to blow on the reptile prints and see if you could budge them. Nobody could. Yeah, it was great fun. So, put on the cardboard box, thought it was time to go out. Let's go up to the doctor's. So we did. And it just like sitting in your front room, basically, but your legs were moving. I could feel my legs moving, and I could feel the rain and the sleet and the muck and the moss and the lichen growing up my legs and the fungus taking hold. The usual things you get when you're out on a walk in Leeds. But halfway up, what should happen? Someone comes to the door. Knock, knock, knock. The door of my cardboard box. I thought, it's got to be the window cleaner again. Because he calls for his money, because I pretend not to be there when he does the windows. If he catches me in the room, I stand very, very still, and they can only really see movement. Window cleaners, they can't actually see objectively. They can only see movement. They can detect movement, and but it wasn't him. No, it was a religious pamphleteer who'd come to demonstrate that his child, his daughter, Norma, was perfectly normal. She offered me a sweetie from a little... It's the same packet every time, actually. Paper bag full of sweets, look like melted perfume bottles. You get if you've ever investigated the site of a bonfire where people have thrown rubbish in and have thrown those little square perfume bottles in, the way they get melted and disfigured and all sorts of strange, phantasmagorical shapes, a bit like Haribo in a hot environment. She offered me this and looked up at me with those sad eyes. It's a bit like snooker pockets, full of squid ink and bees. So that was it. I had an interaction with the religious pamphleteer, because I'll always open the door to them. I'm pathologically polite, aren't I? That's one condition I have, which I refuse to medicate, because there isn't enough politeness in the world these days. So I went up to the doctors and outlined the problem to the doc, and he said, "Oh, I know what's wrong with you. I know what's wrong with you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You're suffering from a sense of inauthenticity." "Inauthenticity?" I said. "Yeah, inauthenticity," he replied. So I said, "How do you propose to remedy that then?" He said, "What you need to do really is enter into a dialogue with." He was doing this. This means dialogue if you've recently qualified, and with your past. Have a DNA test. Find out who your genetic ancestors are, and go and visit their traditional homelands. Now, I knew for a fact, this wasn't necessary, I knew for a fact that quite a large portion of my DNA was Manx. That it was like a sort of double-yolked egg of Celt and Viking from the Isle of Man. Now, I know, I can hear you saying, you're supposed to be from Abstercot. You're always banging on about Abstercot. You're like, well, I am from Abstercot, yes. But Abstercot is a psychological place. It belongs to REM dream sleep and seldom shows up on DNA tests. And you rode up. I thought you knew that. And you rode up. Where was I? You're not listening, are you?
DNA
tests. Yeah, have a DNA test, and that will reassure you of your authenticity. So I thought, right, we'll go to the Isle of Man. So we did. We caught a plane. We travelled through the air, which is highly characteristic of plane travel. And we landed in Douglas in the Isle of Man. We walked into the terminal, and I thought, I get a tremendous atavistic sense of returning home. These are my people, I thought. I got a tremendous familial warmth. It was like swallowing hot Weetabix. So I thought, the hell with it. Might as well face the dragon. So I took the cardboard box off. What happened? Nobody recognised me. Not one soul recognised me. There were one or two people dotted around, reading magazines, drinking coffee, or vaping, who had the glint of something like recognition, but I think it was alarm at me staring at them and grinning and nodding, and saying, pointing to myself as if, I'm your long-lost genetic relative from many generations back. We share the same frail little twig on the family tree. But no, that didn't happen. So you can imagine my disappointment was immense. Sent the old agoraphobia raging again. So I thought, back on with the box, back into our front room in Leeds. So I looked round. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. The cleaning lady and her husband. They were a husband and wife team. He used to do the windows and she did around the seats. But they used to come in formation on segways, carrying a bin bag between them. And they just dropped me dropped me sort of portable interior into this bin bag, and sailed away past W.H. Smith's and Halfords and all the shops on the concourse out of sight. There are a lot of shops on the concourse. It's a long corridor because on the Isle of Man, the only shops are at Douglas Airport, apart from post offices dotted around, which little corrugated iron cubicles that sell stamps or postcards of cats that have had their tails removed to prevent them from leaving the island. As you know, cats swim and navigate using their tails. By the by, anyway, digression, I know. So I thought, hell, what am I going to do? I was in a panic. I used to go off to get some iced tea, and I didn't know what the hell to do. I saw a Photo Me booth over in the corner, so I ran over to that, got myself inside, and pulled the curtain tight shut. Yeah, it feels a bit safer. And my heart rate managed to go down a bit. I was feeling a bit better. And what should happen? You guessed it. Someone came to the door. And in my state of dreamlike panic and anxiety, I thought, it's a bloody window cleaner again, isn't it? He's trying to pull a fast one, because I only paid him last week. And he doesn't do all the windows, He doesn't do the cellar window, and he doesn't do the attic window. He only does the central two stories. Anyway, wasn't. But it was the religious pamphleteer, a local religious pamphleteer, not the one we have in Leeds, a local Manx religious pamphleteer, who had called just to say hello, and to demonstrate that his child was perfectly normal. He had his son with him, Norman, who offered me a sweet from a worn paper sweet packet full of melted perfume bottles, looked up at me with those sad snooker pocket eyes full of squid ink and bees. But he said to his dad, "Daddy, that man's got a right Manx head." That man's got a right Manx head. Yeah. Filling up just thinking about it. I was so chuffed. So I came out of the photo booth. I thought, I don't need photo booths. I don't need boxes. I spent the week happily without a box, blithely box free. You could have seen me sat in the twilight, silhouetted against the marmalade striations of the sky, attracting seals in the dusk with my ballads and broadsides, or I'd be in the pub, surrounded by rugged Celtic musicians, nursing a glass of whiskey and writing nostalgic poetry about my favourite leather shield, or the mermaid farm that used to be in the distance somewhere. Or I'd burst into a huddle of fishermen and start helping to mend their nets. I'd hold the bamboo pole while they'd put the hoop in at the end, and they'd go off in the dinghies, bring back the catch so that the chippy could open. It was a lovely week. And I thought, the doctor was right. I do feel authentic. I feel opaque when I go out. I don't feel like a plastic bag with a goldfish in it, minus the goldfish. I felt real. I felt, yeah. So Opacity. That was the thing. Opacity. Opacity is the finest gift, I think, a man could possibly ask for.